back to the Lactation Spectrum. My name is Jenny. I'm so glad you're here. There's so many channels out there, and the fact that you're showing up to watch this video is amazing, and I'm so thankful.
Look, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. You guys know I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm homeschooling, I work from home. So at any moment, my kids could come running in. Their kids always want a snack and just blow this whole thing up. So I'm gonna go into it and try to get through it before they need a snack. Why do they always need a snack? I set them up with a snack before I get started, and yet there they are wanting a snack.
Today, we're talking about sensitivity. Don't be so sensitive. You should really toughen up. Why are you so sensitive?
Sensitive, quick to detect or respond to slight changes or influences.
It's not that bad. Stop being so sensitive. What does it mean to be highly sensitive or to have a sensory processing condition? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about it. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner. I'm a board certified lactation consultant. This video is not meant to diagnose you or anyone with a sensory processing condition. But what we are going to talk about is how real sensitivities are and how they can impact everything in our whole life, especially breastfeeding. From the sounds, from the smells, from the physical touch, all of it. My focus is on autistic women and breastfeeding, but this applies to anyone. There's a lot of research out there that talks about how sensory processing and trauma go together, and how a trigger of a sound or smell or feeling could start a cascade of physical sensations or emotions. So you don't have to have autism to watch this video. You don't have to have trauma to watch this video. You don't have to do anything. Just keep watching the video. What does it mean to be sensitive? Breastfeeding is a sensory experience. Breastfeeding is a sensory experience.
So what does it really mean to be sensitive? When we're talking about breastfeeding and being sensitive and sensory sensitivities, it's a lot of information. But what I'm talking about is the different experience that someone might have if they have hypersensitivities or hyposensitivities, meaning they're more sensitive to some things or less sensitive to some things. So some of the things we might see if someone has hypersensitivities in breastfeeding that we don't normally assess are a hypersensitivity to wetness, breast leaking, the wet breast pads, a spit up of the baby, a wet diaper that leaks. Those things can become overstimulating really quickly and even cause someone to have a grown-up meltdown that makes the rest of the breastfeeding very difficult. But let's talk about sensitivity to sound. Now, what kind of sounds occur during breastfeeding? Well, we could talk about crying, more crying, the sound of the baby suckling, swallowing, a gassy baby, crying, a loud breathing baby. But it's not just the sounds that are happening in the immediate breastfeeding relationship between the parent and the infant. What about the other sounds around the house? Other children screaming, maybe a neighbor hammering, construction work, someone talking. If someone's very sensitive to noise, the fan might sound like an airplane rotor. And the challenge is when someone is trying to process and filter all those sounds while also trying to feed their baby. And it becomes super overwhelming, and even though breastfeeding isn't a problem, the actual act of trying to process it and get the baby on and do all the things feels harder because trying to process all the sound. Let's talk about another one. Some people are more sensitive to touch. Now, this could be a light touch. If you like tickling and light touch, then little fingers and toes on your skin when you're feeding the baby might feel really fun, and you might be laughing a little bit when that happens. Now, if you don't like that kind of touch and you're sensitive to light touch, that can feel painful, tickly, prickly, and again, really alerting to the nervous system and cause a sensory overload very quickly, in addition to the other things we just talked about, sound and wetness. If you're someone who prefers deep pressure, maybe you have a lot of pillows that you like supporting you, and you like to be surrounded by a lot of pillows kind of pushing on you and giving you that feedback, you should set up your breastfeeding space the same way, safely, in a way that doesn't occlude airways or prevent the baby from moving. We've just talked about a couple sensory experiences with sound, touch, pressure, and I hope that you found this video helpful and informative, and that you can start to see how the sensitivities impact someone's breastfeeding experience. If you're a breastfeeding supporter or you're supporting somebody who's breastfeeding who has some sensory sensitivities, invest that time into helping them set up a sensory conscious space where they can feed their baby and it doesn't feel overwhelming with sound or color, texture. Ask those kinds of questions and see if that will help set up a place that's more calming so that they can just focus on feeding the baby and enjoy the experience itself rather than expending a lot of energy towards sensory processing. Now, we can't eliminate those sensory triggers, but we can minimize some of them if we know what they are. If we ask those questions, if we really tune into the mom and ask her what things she finds comfortable or what things really are stressful for her sensory system. Why do people tell us to stop being so sensitive? I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know that it's not a bad thing. And when we tune into our body and we honor our own needs, we can better meet our needs, and that can help create a better breastfeeding experience.
If you found this video helpful, please share it with other breastfeeding colleagues, or maybe you know a mom right now who's struggling with some of these things. Definitely subscribe, come back. I have so many great videos for you guys to see, and I want you guys to come along on this journey with me. Consider supporting me on Patreon. It's a little step, but it can really help. Thank you guys for showing up today.